Yeah, finally got that to grow. Anyway, a new season begins. 2022 wet begins. Yeah, I've got on 49 here. I tend to think that's the best. Anyway, we've gone off daylight saving on Sunday, and then we had rain arriving Tuesday the 5th. Now let's go back a month or so. Around about the 15th of March, the chill started coming off the Antarctic, and it's now been coming off for about 3 weeks, just a little over 3 weeks now. And my neighbour's maple cum plane tree has gone red, now it's starting to drop its leaves. Oh, that tree's been taken out. It's been chopped down in the last week or so. So the chill's been coming off the Antarctic since mid-March, which is very strange, because February is usually the hottest month here. Around my birthday it's usually 46, we have on and off days of 46 sort of thing. This year we only had a one single hot day, which was like 40-41 sort of thing. Just the one single one, which is very strange. And as I said, since the 15th or middle of March, around about there, the wind started coming off, the chill started coming off the Antarctic. Of course, it comes off in a clockwise fashion, which puts an extra 2 hours of flying time on planes that go from Brisbane to Perth, rather than Perth to Brisbane. That's why even though the flights are subsidised, that's why the plane tickets from Brisbane to Perth are always more expensive than the plane tickets from Perth to Brisbane. We've had new houses built over there, and even though the chills come off the Antarctic, we've still got a planned 29-degree day this coming Sunday. So even though it's quite cool here now, we're still going to have a warm day. See, in normal years, April can be a weird month. It can get really hot and humid, threatening to rain towards the end of a month, and never does until we get to around Anzac Day. And usually just before Anzac Day or just after Anzac Day, that's when the first rains come, sort of thing. But this year, as I said, we've had the chill come off the Antarctic starting in mid-March, and as of this Tuesday the 5th of April, we had the first rains. So that's 3 weeks earlier than Anzac Day, which is usually on the 25th of April. So usually, just before or just after the 25th of April is when the first rains usually come. Now, since we had the chill coming off the Antarctic, quite a lot of the leaves have been falling off the trees, but this has been swept up. As of a video I made for my friends the other day, they would have seen this has been swept up a bit by the local council. There was a lot more. There was a whole carpet of leaves basically, and they've obviously leaf blown it or sucked it up with some sort of municipal vacuum cleaner or something. But you can see, even so, and can you see the light coming off the leaves there? When they're wet, it's even brighter. There's more reflectivity that comes off the leaves, and so these will build up now until we're officially in the wet, which is, as I say, it's one of these mathematical statistical problems where you don't know when the wet is going to start, basically, but you know by the 3rd week of May, which is like the 21st onwards, you're in the wet, basically. So you don't know when it's going to come, when it's going to arrive, when those first rains are going to come and start it ticking over, but you do know that by the 3rd week of May, the 21st of May onwards, you're in the wet. You're in the wet there. Anyway, we might go off some of here. And this rain that came on Tuesday, I'm now recording this on Thursday, so 2 days ago. It rained from Tuesday night all the way through to Wednesday morning, basically. So a good 12 hours of non-stop sort of fairly substantial rain sort of thing. The moss is starting to green up. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, they're starting to green up already. and if we have some more rain, it'll green even more. And I'm filming this now 3:30 to 4:30, whereas the video I made for my mates last week, when the tree was still there, hadn't been chopped down, it was 4:30 to 5:30, because we've come off daylight saving. I have to go an hour earlier, and as we go, every month we go into the wet, that time will go back an hour in the afternoon and go forward in the morning, sort of thing. So you get the blue light in the morning, you get the orangey red light in the evening, sort of thing, and you see all this detritus building up. You got the bark and you got the leaves, and as we go down here, we'll see some. Hopefully, we'll see the matting that was on the other side of the bridge, which I showed my mates last week, and we were still in daylight saving. It's a complicated business, as Trump says, because I'm watching the Diddy show on the channel, and it went from watching him at 2:30 in the morning to then, when he went off daylight saving, I had to watch him at 3:30 in the morning, and now that he's off daylight saving, we've gone off daylight saving, I'm now watching him at 1:30 in the morning, which is weird, isn't it? Because when he went off daylight saving, we were still on daylight saving, so it took it from 2:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the morning. But now that we've come off, somehow it starts at 1:30 in the morning, which is weird, isn't it? You put the clocks back 1 hour, but somehow I now watch him 2 hours earlier for some reason. You can see the glint is there, but if we go over here, so what with the rain coming so early, we might actually get, some of the moss is a bit slow, but but then again, this is a section here that's a bit different, as you can see. So just walking through here. So go down there. So we'll probably take another gander, a wander, and a look-see recce on this sort of area. Oh, okay, see, that's sort of coming back, but it's coming up. It's heightening now. You see that? That will go green. It's starting to fluff up, and I swear that as we head towards August, because the first 2 weeks of August have the coldest nights, hardly ever goes to 0 degrees on the Adelaide Plain. The last time it went to 0 degrees around about that time was 1980, the year that John Lennon got shot. Just before I cycled to school, I went out the back and there was a frozen ice cream container, just frozen solid right to the bottom of water. So, it definitely got to 0 degrees and stayed there for quite some time. But that's the only time that in my lifetime that's happened. That was 1980, so we're probably due for one. We've had the millennial drought since 1999, and as I said, this is a weird year. We haven't had a double glid cohort for quite a few years now, at least a decade, probably more than that, going back to the beginning of the new millennium drought. Okay, to take you back in the story, we have the not only do we have the wet and the dry, but we have El Nino and La Nina, and El Nino is a dry period of time, and La Nina is a wet 10 years. So you have a 10-year period of wetter years. So when we have the wet, you get more rain there in those 10 years, and in El Nino, the dries are even drier, sort of thing. You get less rain, and the dries are hotter and drier, sort of thing. And they usually last about 10 years, you see. However, we had this new millennium drought, which started in basically 1999 and has now gone on for 22 consecutive seasons, basically, in southern Abbotland, or formerly known as Australia. Tony Abbott, failed priest, aka Dr. No, as I like to say online. Now, can you see this? So these leaves, these are the ones that fell just like up there, but these ones weren't sucked up. So you can see, and of course there will be some more foliage as we head towards the third week in May. There'll be a good matting here, and of course it'll be beginning to decompose down, and of course you'll get sun juice coming up through the matting and sort of thing, and you do get usually larger sun juice coming up through the matting. As I learned from my childhood over on the sand plains of Perth, the biggest plants are always under the matting, and if you pull the matting up, you'd find some massive hand-sized rosettes sort of thing. And Drosera erythrisa magnus subspecies something else sort of thing. It wasn't the strictly magnus sort of thing. It was something else. The way it sat in the sand and its edging and everything like that. Never seen pictures online that say, oh yes, that's what I remember from my childhood. That's it. That's the one. No, haven't seen that online. So it used to be up the back of my parents' place, and of course they built an old folks' home on there, sort of thing. So it's long gone now, I think. But there may be some little, satellite colonies, isolated plants here and there behind houses here and there in that area. And the other thing is, we had a bit of rain. This sort of this area here flooded, and it's opposite where the bracken grows. So whether there's a little stream that goes to the creek there, I don't know. But I just thought I'd take you down, and I won't go all the way like I did with the mates. I'll cut up there in a minute. Let's see what the time is on there. I've got a little bit of time on here. And colour check on the I wouldn't say it's municipal orange, it's some sort of orange, almost an orange in, I don't know, what orange would it, it's not quite a carrot, oh no, not quite a carrot orange, but anyway, I'll go through here. And so anyway, basically that's the wrap up. The season's basically begun, even though we're going to have the odd hot day between now and the third week of May, and which is like the 23rd, 21st onwards. Of course, from that time for 3 weeks, Drosera prey failure is at its peak, and then as you go into June, from the second week of June, then Drosera wittecrae is at its peak, sort of thing, and so on and so forth. Because the wittecrae is the only one that doesn't go by the third week of the month, basically. All the others. And so wittecrae will be at its peak for about 3 weeks. I call it peak king wit. And as you get to the end of that month, while you're still on the tail end of the good photography for wittecrae, you've even got these nice red ones that we have now out at Mount Bold and around that sort of area. Other person. Then as you cross over from June into July, that's when all the basal rosettes of some of these things like auriculatas, peltatas, and the peltata foliosa complex, that's when they break through the surface of the soil and expand out onto the surface, and before they start putting up erect leaves. But of course with Drosera hookerii, part of this sort of complex, it spends an inordinate amount of time in this sort of expanded basal rosette stage. Basically it's just like a flat basal rosette. Almost reminds me of Drosera rotundifolia, and I have noticed that with some of these things. I don't know whether there's an ancient lineage going back to the European Drosera rotundifolia. But if you look at the basal rosettes of some of these things, you think, if it didn't grow erect, you swear that was somehow related to Drosera rotundifolia, with their sort of orbicular traps on the end. And some of them have interesting tentacles too, like ones that stay viscous even on wet, almost sodden ground. They stay nice and viscous. So there are differences, and there's a lot of strange Mendelian genetics going on. Sorry, I forget that my camera is a landscape camera, and you don't get the full impact if I don't go in at the right sort of thing. So, usual park bench there for the old folks home here. And this coming Thursday that's next week's Thursday. What was it? 7th today, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. On the 14th of April, the Ides of April sort of thing, the mask mandate supposedly is going to end, so all the masks come off and we can go down the shops and just relax sort of thing. But I'm sure there's going to be something coming along, to try and make you agitated and afraid or something. I don't know, so we'll see what happens. But I notice there's a few trees in here as we get up here, which is like bent over, even though they're dead or something. They've been bent over in their lives. Things like this one here, bent over but all to one side, and there's one up there. I don't know if you can see that. Whether some of our birds live up there, they bent it over by just nesting up there sort of thing, or whether we've got whether a fox goes up there and sleeps up there, or we got some other mega beast or something that goes up there. I do know the one I came across, I've seen they sound like birds, which is very strange. And whenever they go in the bush, all the creatures are absolutely petrified of them. So they obviously know that they mean business. But another one over here, you see. So maybe you're looking in the wrong places. You want to go looking at up in the trees sort of thing. And the best time to look, I've determined, is between about 2:30 and 4 o'clock. Usually on a bin night when there's no wind. They don't seem to like the leaves under the street lamps sort of making any movement. Whether it's actually the rustle, upsets their hearing, I don't know, or what. But so bin night, probably out for a good easy feed or something like that, and also whether it's also something with some of the street lamps go off at certain times in that period. I do know between that time the trucks don't run basically from 2 a.m. to about 4:30 a.m. the big trucks don't go down the road. So maybe they've learned that as well, I don't know. So that might give you a bit of help anyway. And I've noticed some of them seem to, like, from a distance, nibble things on the ground, so whether they're after some sort of fungus or something that's in the ground around the pine trees, I don't know. But you might want to look into that. I've seen some young ones. They come in different colours. I've measured them with my camera from a distance with the street signage, and they're basically 3 cat lengths in length, basically, as compared to this street signage. So that's the average body length of a young one, basically, is 3 normal standard house cat stuck end to end, basically, like in what's that, Caterpillar program or something, Caterpillar program, saw type program, whatever. Anyway, oh yeah, I didn't talk about the barkies, did I? Yeah, the bark's coming off the trees, and it's strange. You're now getting lighter bark as we go into the cooler wet, and you think the trees would want to keep warm, wouldn't you? But no, it seems to be counterintuitive. So anyway, and as you can see, these acacia, kangaroo thorn bush, I've forgotten the name. It's acacia something or other. Oh, I've mentioned it many times in other videos. It's just gone out of my head, fellas. But you've seen these? These are growing up basically in the last 5 to 7 years. From small plants, and you can see they're just taking over the whole area, sort of thing. Because they'll be destroyed if they have a bushfire in the area, sort of thing. So you should have good prey failure colonies in these sort of